The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle or Hurricane Alley, is a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The earliest suggestion of unusual disappearances in the Bermuda area appeared in a September 17, 1950, article published in the Miami Herald by Edward Van Winkle Jones. 2 years later, Fate magazine published Sea Mystery at Our Back Door, a short article by George Sand covering the loss of several planes and ships, including the loss of Flight 19. A group of 5 U.S. Navy Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers on a training mission. Persons accepting the Bermuda Triangle as a real phenomenon have offered a number of explanatory approaches. Paranormal explanations. Triangle writers have used a number of supernatural concepts to explain the events. One explanation pins the blame on leftover technology from the mythical lost continent of Atlantis. Sometimes connected to the Atlantis story is the submerged rock formation known as the Bimini Road off the island of Bimini in the Bahamas, which is in the triangle by some definitions. Natural explanations. Compass problems are one of the cited phrases in many triangle incidents. While some have theorized that unusual local magnetic anomalies may exist in the area, such anomalies have not been found. Compasses have natural magnetic variations in relation to the magnetic poles, a fact which navigators have known for centuries. The Gulf Stream is a major surface current, primarily driven by thermohaline circulation that originates in the Gulf of Mexico and then flows through the Straits of Florida into the North Atlantic. One of the most cited explanations in official inquiries as to the loss of any aircraft or vessel is human error. Human stubbornness may have caused businessman Harvey Conover to lose his sailing yacht, Revenock, as he sailed into the teeth of a storm south of Florida on January 1, 1958. Hurricanes are powerful storms that form in tropical waters and have historically cost thousands of lives and caused billions of dollars in damage. The sinking of Francisco de Bobadilla's Spanish fleet in 1502 was the first recorded instance of a destructive hurricane. These storms have in the past caused a number of incidents related to the triangle. An explanation for some of the disappearances has focused on the presence of large fields of methane hydrates, a form of natural gas, on the continental shelves. Laboratory experiments carried out in Australia have proven that bubbles can, indeed, sink a scale model ship by decreasing the density of the water. Any wreckage consequently rising to the surface would be rapidly dispersed by the Gulf Stream. Incidents attributed in popular culture to the Bermuda Triangle or Devil's Triangle. Ellen Austin. The Ellen Austin supposedly came across a derelict ship, placed on board it a prize crew, and attempted to sail in tandem with it to New York in 1881. According to the stories, the derelict disappeared, others elaborating further that the derelict reappeared minus the prize crew, and then disappeared again with a second prize crew on board. A check from Lloyd's of London records proved the existence of Meta, built in 1854, and that in 1880, Meta was renamed Ellen Austin. There are no casualty listings for this vessel, or any vessel at that time, that would suggest a large number of missing men were placed on board a derelict that later disappeared. USS Cyclops. The incident resulting in the single largest loss of life in the history of the U.S. Navy not related to combat occurred when the collier Cyclops, carrying a full load of manganese ore and with one engine out of action, went missing without a trace with a crew of 309 sometime after March 4, 1918, after departing the island of Barbados. Although there is no strong evidence for any single theory, many independent theories exist, some blaming storms, some capsizing, and some suggesting that wartime enemy activity was to blame for the loss. In addition, 2 of Cyclops' sister ships, Proteus and Nereus, were subsequently lost in the North Atlantic during World War II. Both ships were transporting heavy loads of metallic ore similar to that which was loaded on Cyclops during her fatal voyage. In all 3 cases, structural failure due to overloading with a much denser cargo than designed is considered the most likely cause of sinking. Carol A. Deering. A 5-masted schooner built in 1919, Carol A. Deering was found hard aground and abandoned at Diamond Shoals, near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, on January 31, 1921. Rumors and more at the time indicated Deering was a victim of piracy, possibly connected with the illegal rum running trade during Prohibition. and possibly involving another ship, Hewitt, which disappeared at roughly the same time. Just hours later, an unknown steamer sailed near the lightship along the track of Deering, and ignored all signals from the lightship. It is speculated that Hewitt may have been this mystery ship, and possibly involved in Deering's crew disappearance. Star Tiger and Star Ariel. Star Tiger disappeared on January 30, 1948, on a flight from the Azores to Bermuda. Star Ariel disappeared on January 17, 1949, on a flight from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica. Both were Avro Tudor 4-passenger aircraft operated by British South American Airways. Both planes were operating at the very limits of their range, and the slightest error or fault in the equipment could keep them from reaching the small island. Douglas DC-3. On December 28, 1948, a Douglas DC-3 aircraft, number NC-16002, disappeared while on a flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico, to Miami. No trace of the aircraft, or the 32 people on board, was ever found. A Civil Aeronautics Board investigation found there was insufficient information available on which to determine probable cause of the disappearance. Connemara 4. A pleasure yacht was found adrift in the Atlantic south of Bermuda on September 26, 1955. It is usually stated in the stories, Burlett's winner, that the crew vanished while the yacht survived being at sea during 3 hurricanes. The 1955 Atlantic hurricane season shows Hurricane I passing nearby between 14 and 18 September, with Bermuda being affected by winds of almost gale force. In his second book on the Bermuda Triangle, Winner quoted from a letter he had received from Mr. J. E. Challenor of Barbados. On the morning of September 22, Connemara 4 was lying to a heavy mooring in the open roadstead of Carlisle Bay. Because of the approaching hurricane, the owner strengthened the mooring ropes and put out 2 additional anchors. There was little else he could do, as the exposed mooring was the only available anchorage in Carlisle Bay. The sea in the wake of Hurricane Janet was awe-inspiring and dangerous. The owner of Connemara 4 observed that she had disappeared. An investigation revealed that she had dragged her moorings and gone to sea. KC-135 Stratotankers. On August 28, 1963, a pair of U.S. Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker aircraft collided and crashed into the Atlantic 300 miles west of Bermuda. Some writers say that while the 2 aircraft did collide, there were 2 distinct crash sites, separated by over 160 miles, 260 kilometers, of water. However, Cush's research showed that the unclassified version of the Air Force investigation report revealed that the debris field defining the second crash site was examined by a search and rescue ship, and found to be a mass of seaweed and driftwood tangled in an old buoy. During the first voyage of Christopher Columbus on October 11, 1492, by some crew members of the Santa Maria, Pinta and possibly Nina shortly before the landing on Guanahani. The light was reported in Columbus Journal. Columbus described the light as a small wax candle that rose and lifted up, which to few seemed to be an indication of land. He received the Royal Reward for the sighting. Flight 19. Flight 19 was a training flight of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that disappeared on December 5, 1945, while over the Atlantic. The squadron's flight plan was scheduled to take them due east from Fort Lauderdale for 141 miles, 227 kilometers, north for 73 miles, 117 kilometers, and then back over a final 140-mile, 230-kilometer leg to complete the exercise. The flight never returned to base. The disappearance was attributed by Navy investigators to navigational error leading to the aircraft running out of fuel. One of the search and rescue aircraft deployed to look for them, a PBM Mariner with the 13-man crew, also disappeared. A tanker off the coast of Florida reported seeing an explosion and observing a widespread oil slick when fruitlessly searching for survivors. The weather was becoming stormy by the end of the incident. According to contemporaneous sources, the Mariner had a history of explosions due to vapor leaks when heavily loaded with fuel, as it might have been for a potentially long search and rescue operation. These are only few of the most acknowledged sightings. One day we will find the real truth about the Bermuda Triangle and possibly what actually happened during Flight 19.